Hi, veterans on the war on wobbly bits. How are you? What is happening in your world today? In my world, at 3:26, I've already texted with a friend. I've already steamed some carrots, fed the kitties, dished out some Horizons 4% fat, high fat cottage cheese for my breakfast. Put a liberal amount of pepper and Himalayan pink salt on it. I'll be having that in a few hours. Pretty darn exciting. I'm up early enough so I can get my wobbly bits on a 4-mile walk. So I'm kind of excited. Well, I was thinking of things that we could talk about, and what I came up with was another revisit to Rare and Appropriate. And for those of you that have been here for a while, you know that I stole this. I stole that saying from a magician, the Penn and Teller, and the one that lost 100 pounds, who has a book coming out, and I'm so excited. I've already reserved it at Amazon. Anyway, so he coined the phrase that I immediately stole, which is rare and appropriate. And that's what I call a treat. That's what I call my baked potato on Saturday night, rare and appropriate. And what I do with that, I am now taking what he calls rare and appropriate, and I call a baked potato, and Abel James calls resistant starch. I cook it first, then I put it in the fridge to cool, thus making half of the carbohydrates into resistant starch, meaning that the carbs don't count in my carb count for the day, which is very good. I'm very excited about that. That doesn't mean the potato gets bigger. Who thought that out there? No. What it means is that rare and appropriate just got a little bump in the gift of half of the carbs because the other half become resistant starch, which I learn more about as I go, but I'm not as knowledgeable about it as I hope to be one day. All I know is that when Abel James said that about starchy foods, and of course for me that means sweet potato and baked potato and brown rice, which I haven't had in months, but not since I found the cauliflowered rice at Trader Joe's. So anyway, rare and appropriate. Now, if you are following Weight Watchers, what does rare and appropriate mean? Well, what it means is is that you have an event coming up, say it's your birthday, and you know that there's a certain delicious, sugary item that you want to celebrate with for your birthday. You usually have it every birthday. It is traditional for most birthdays. Last year, you certainly had it because you weren't in Weight Watchers or paying attention to your wobbly bits. And so this year, well, it's a whole different thing. Now, sometimes there are people that make great recipes out of traditional things with different ingredients. So the wallop of carbs, fat, and sugars isn't as big as it would be with the original item, if you're following me. And then, for some people, it's like, no, I just want the original item. Now, for me, I love this Fathead pizza. So this is it's a wonderful alternative to regular traditional grained pizza. So for me, this works. But when it comes to, like, say, a birthday cake, I can just say it, can't I? When it comes to, like, the birthday cake, and you want what you want because it's your birthday, and you want something that you've been hankering for, this is what you do. You add up all the points. you figure what that slice is, the true measurement, not what you really want to have, and you count the points and you put it in your tracker because you want to not lose your ground. And so you put it in. And so say you get 31 points. Okay, so that piece of cake, maybe it's 20 points. Well, what does that mean? That means, now, what would I suggest if I was your food sponsor? Well, I would say have no fruits that day because you're going to have a lot of that sugar. Even though the fruits don't count, you know what I mean? It's still not a free ride because fruits are free. I would concentrate more on real, real low carby veggies and the proteins that you can get enough of with your smart points that don't sink the ship, right? And say you're a few over and say you borrow some of your weeklies or however it is that you run your Weight Watchers Smart Point program. It's okay, but just know that it's rare and appropriate. Now, for some of us, that would be me, I couldn't have a CAKE in the house. I could buy Greg cookies and pastries and donuts and all kinds of garbage, and it would never call out to me like a CAKE calls out. Because when I caved on June 23rd, 2014 and joined Weight Watchers, it was as much for my head as it was for my weight. But I didn't know that then. Even though I'd been in Overeaters Anonymous, which totally handles the emotional part, or is available to handle the emotional part, I wasn't thinking it then. I was thinking, this dumb midriff underneath my boobs I want to get rid of. And so I was totally binging on cakes. Salted caramel cake and tiramisu cake, both from Market Basket, and I would buy 2 a week. And do I need to tell you anything else? There were no reins on me whatsoever. So, when my birthday came this year and last year, I probably had a rare and appropriate baked potato because I've calmed my sweet tooth. The only sugar I have is in a few white chocolate morsels in my fat bomb because the brown stains my teeth. And so that is the only sugar I have. I have a half a tablespoon of Zyla twice a day in my, one in my bulletproof coffee and then in my regular Keurig coffee. And that's it. So my body is fat adapted. It is not glucose adapted like how it is if you're having the standard American diet with grains and sugars. Okay? So, just wanting you to be mindful of how important it is for the momentum of your food plan when you have a rare and appropriate. It's not a rare and appropriate weekend. It's not a rare and appropriate 1 week vacation. It's not a rare and appropriate for 4 or 5 days in a row because it's there. You can't do that. You lose your momentum, you lose your juju, and you don't want to lose your juju. Fortunately, I consider myself kind of lucky because giving up the grains was the easiest part of the whole Megillah. Why? Excuse me. Because when I was going gluten-free, I could still have nummies. I could still have breadstuffs, garbage, crackers, and cakes, and things like that. And there's tons of recipes out there to make gluten-free things. I don't want to make gluten-free. I want to be grain-free. It's a lot easier. Just like smoking. I quit cold turkey. I did not do the vape. They didn't have the vape then. I did not do patches or pills or other things. And when I quit drinking, it was. One day I drank and the next day I didn't. Now I'm very, very lucky that way because it's not that easy for a lot of people, and I certainly understand. But for me, giving up all grains was the easiest part of the elimination. The sugar, not so much, because I found Zyla was fine, and I find that the fats are a wonderful alternative for me with any sugar craving that I might have had before. So yeah, I'm lucky that way. But for those of us that don't find, I mean, like for me now, it would be nut butter. I could sit there with a spoon if left alone. Fortunately, I'm not left alone because I have a discipline and a structure in place where I still allow it. And I think the rare and appropriate, be it a piece of pizza, be it a piece of cake, be it what your mother's, whatever she makes that, you couldn't live without, is, I think the rare and appropriate part keeps us structured and disciplined and on track. Because I am not one that feels that deprivation works. Just saying. Might for you. Maybe that's what you need to do the first 30, 60, 90 days of a new food program, a new food plan, just for yourself, just to keep that, just to get it. I understand that. But once you come out of the fog a little bit, and suddenly there's an event that might have a rare and appropriate, and you want to partake, you might be able to do it safely. And only you would know if you could do it safely. But we certainly are here to guide you with that choice. It's just not done in the closet, in the dark, after a great big dinner, when nobody's looking. It's none of that anymore. No sneaky stuff. Just full out, I'm going to have that piece of cake. I have put it into my tracker. Am I happy with all the points that it took from my 31 points for the day? You bet. Am I still going to have it? Okay, I will. And I will admit that there were times in my Weight Watchers journey with my tracker that I did have a non-tracking day. I can't remember what day it was or why, but it might have been that I was going to somebody else's house, maybe Thanksgiving, not sure. And just having the dinner and just, not thinking that I'm going to be weighing and measuring in somebody else's house. I don't know what's going to be there. And I just trusted my process of what I had learned. And maybe I didn't track for the day. Maybe that happened a couple of times in the months that I was on Weight Watchers. Now I track with different things, low carb, high fat. And so, and I'm grain free and sugar free. So those things help when I'm putting things into my tracker. If it all sounds crazy and mumbo jumbo and like I'll never get there, this is horrible, Sarah, how can you talk about rare and appropriate? I'm struggling just to do my tracker for the first week. We're still here for you. We are still here for you. That's the point. It doesn't matter where you're on the path. It's being on the path that counts, right? So, have a wonderful day. Comment below. Become a member. Let us know where you're at. And it all will work out. Have a wonderful day. This has been Sarah, Pearls of Wisdom and Food. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye for now.